The secret to building a source of ongoing residual income. The pipeline will bring you a new level of wealth. This story about the pipeline teaches us why building a pipeline is necessary, and it also shows us practical steps on how to do it. This book will help you escape the trap of trading your time for money every single day. It will also give you the power to enjoy a lifestyle that you cannot even imagine right now. Building just one pipeline is like receiving 1,000 paychecks. Hello, this is Atomy Bro. Today, I want to introduce a book called The Parable of the Pipeline. The author, Burke Hedges, is a world famous best-selling writer, motivational speaker, and independent entrepreneur. For the past 11 years, Burke Hedges has been talking about personal and financial freedom. His 7 books have been translated into 10 languages and have sold over 2 million copies around the world. He currently lives in Florida and runs several fast-growing businesses based on the spirit of a free enterprise. You can become a millionaire too. 100 years ago, the idea of an average person becoming a millionaire seemed impossible. Do you know what life was like for ordinary people back in the early 1900s? In the year 1900, the average hourly wage in the United States was just 22 cents. Most workers earned only $200 to $400 a year, not even enough for basic living expenses. Only 6% of Americans guaranteed from high school, and the average life expectancy was only 47 years. Only 14% of homes had bathtubs, and there were just 8,000 cars in the whole country. There were only 144 miles, about 230 kilometers of paved roads. Before World War I, most American families spent 80% of their income just to cover the basics like food, clothing, and shelter. Back then, society was divided into the rich and the poor. Only 10% of the population was upper or middle class, while the remaining 90% lived a poverty. Today's middle class just look good on the outside. So, how is the life today different from back then? Now the average American income is about $47,000 per year. There are more cars than people, and most homes have at least 2 TVs. The average life expectancy is now 75 years. Ordinary people have a more disposable income, more free time, and more freedom to choose the kind of work they want. It all looks great on the surface, but if we look deeper, things haven't changed much. There are about 72 million middle class households today. Most of them still live paycheck to paycheck, depending only on their job to get by each day. And when you consider all the loans and credit card that they carry from buying homes, cars, and furniture, they actually don't have any real savings. Yes, it's true that household income has increased, but debt and working hours have also increased. How did things end up like this? If you choose the wrong system, no amount of effort will help you. Have you ever wondered why you are always short of time and money, even though you work so hard? Here's the answer. You probably started off on the wrong path. You choose a system that simply doesn't work, no matter how hard you try. Also, most people lack a basic understanding of how to earn and grow money. Let me tell you something that might be hard to believe, but it's absolutely true. And you must accept this truth. Unlike 100 years ago, today becoming a millionaire is a matter of choice. Millionaires don't just appear by luck. This is a proven fact. So today, anyone has a chance to become a millionaire. Yes, even you. Think it sounds crazy? That's only because of your old way of thinking. Once you change your mindset, new possibilities become clear. It's actually simple. If you want to become a millionaire, just follow these 3 steps. Understand how to earn money and grow wealth. Copy the method that have already been proven to work. Be patient and keep going no matter what. That's it. If you understand, copy, and have a patience, no matter who you are or where you are in life, you can become a millionaire. The Millionaire Systems. This book shows how ordinary people just like you can gain more time and financial freedom, not just for themselves, but for their loved ones too. It shares a simple and proven system for success. Many people have used this system for a long time. In fact, over the past 50 years, millions have become millionaires by following this exact system. Today, becoming a millionaire isn't about luck. The real key is whether or not you learn and follow this already proven system. In the best-selling book, The Millionaire Next Door by Thomas Stanley, it says this. Most of today's millionaires are not born into rich families like the Rockefellers or Vanderbilt. More than 80% of them are self-made. This proves what I've been saying. Becoming a millionaire today is a matter of choice, not chance. Why I wrote the parable of the pipeline. I wrote this story to teach you the success system that the rich have been using for centuries to earn money and build wealth. In the past, only the wealthy elite could access this system. Even if others knew about it, they didn't have enough money or connections to actually use it. But today, things are different. Thanks to technology, life quality and middle class income have improved. Also, through what I call the double pipeline business system, anyone can enjoy time and financial freedom. As long as you are an adult, you can use your time and your network to build the life you want. If you follow the system explained in this book, you too can become a millionaire. Welcome to your first steps, Burke Hedges. Before we get into the main story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications. It really helps us share great books with more people. Now let's divide into today's content. The fun pipeline story. In 1801, in a small village in central Italy, there lived two young men named Pablo and Bruno. They were full of dreams and were very close friends. Whenever they met, they would talk endlessly about how they would one day become the richest man in their village. Then one day, a real opportunity came to them. The village needed someone to carry water from the river and pour it into the big water tank in the town square. Pablo and Bruno signed up for the job, and they got it. Two buckets and a pipeline. Two young men carrying buckets went to the river. They worked hard all day, drawing water and filling the village water tank. The village chief paid them a penny for every bucket, and that became their daily wage. Bruno said, "Wow, I cannot believe such luck came my way. This is exactly what I've been dreaming of." But Pablo thought differently. He had the blisters on his hands, and his whole body ached from carrying heavy buckets all day. And the thought of having to do the same hard work again tomorrow morning made him feel miserable. There has to be an easier way to bring water to the village, Pablo thought. And so he made up his mind and went home away from Bruno, Pablo's idea. The next morning, the two of them headed to the river again with their buckets. But suddenly, Pablo said, "Bruno, I have a great idea." "Oh? Great idea?" Bruno asked. "Instead of carrying buckets all day for just a few pennies, why don't we build a pipeline from the river to the village?" Bruno stopped walking, looking puzzled. "Pipeline? What are you talking about?" "Well," Pablo began, but Bruno cut him off. "Forget it. Carrying buckets is a great job. I can carry 100 buckets a day. That means I make $1 a day. I'm going to be rich. In a week, I can buy fancy shoes. In a month, I will have a strong donkey. And in 6 months, I will have myself a cozy little house. This is the best job in the village. I even get weekends off and 2 weeks of paid vacation a year. What job could be better than this?" Don't ever mention that pipeline idea again. Despite of Bruno's harsh response, Pablo calmly explained his plan. He would spend part of the day carrying buckets and the rest of his time, including weekends, working on the pipeline. He knew the work would be tough, digging through the rocky ground from the river to the village. He also knew that since he only got paid for the number of buckets he carried, earning less money meant short-term sacrifice. And he realized it might take 1, 2, or even more years before the pipeline would bring in any income. But Pablo believed in himself. No matter what others said, he began building the pipeline step by step, chasing his dream. The work in progress, the villagers, and even his friends Bruno mocked him, calling him the pipeline guide. Meanwhile, Bruno, who carried the buckets all day, earned twice as much money as Pablo. Whenever they met, Bruno proudly showed off the new things he bought. He worked hard and managed to buy a nice two-story house and a sturdy donkey. He dressed in fine clothes and ate expensive food at the village restaurant. Soon the villagers started calling him Mr. Bruno. Whenever he bought drinks for everyone at the tavern, people cheered loudly and laughed at all his silly jokes. Small success is the foundation for big success. While Bruno spent his evenings relaxing at the tavern and enjoying his weekends, Pablo kept working on his pipeline. At first, it was almost impossible to see any progress. He was digging through rocky soil, and it was extremely hard work. Carrying buckets in the morning and then working through the afternoons, evenings, and weekends, Pablo's days were even tougher than Bruno's. Still, he stayed focused on his dream and kept digging. Even if it's slow, I will succeed, he told himself. As he chipped away at the rocks, his determination grew stronger. He knew that today's sacrifice would become the foundation for tomorrow's success. Little by little, 1 centimeter turned into 1 meters, then 10 meters and 20 meters, and eventually 100 meters. Every day when Pablo returned to his humble little shack, he encouraged himself. He was convinced that once the pipeline was complete, the reward would far outweigh all the hard work he had put in. He always made sure to reach his daily goal, and every small win motivated him. He kept his eyes on the future. Whenever he heard laughter coming from the tavern, he quietly reminded himself, keep your eyes on the visions. Move forward. The finished pipeline, the reward of sweat, the power of vision. A few months later, Pablo completed about half of the pipeline. That meant he now had to carry the buckets only half the distance. With the extra time he saved, he was able to work even harder on finishing the pipeline. The day his dream would become reality was getting closer. Sometimes, while working, Pablo would glance at Bruno. Year of carrying heavy buckets had taken a toll of him. Bruno's shoulders sagged, his back was bent, and his walk had become slow and tired. Bruno, who once mocked Pablo, was now bitter and full of regret. He was frustrated with his life, realizing he would be carrying buckets forever. He drank more and more, often staying at the tavern longer than at home, complaining about his miserable situation. Whenever Bruno entered the bar, the villagers would start mocking him, saying, "Here comes the bucket guy." Some drunken villagers would even imitate his hunched back and slow, heavy steps, laughing at him. Over time, Bruno lost his cheerful spirit and would just sit alone in a dark corner, quietly drinking. He no longer bought drinks for others or exchanged light jokes. Meanwhile, Pablo finally reached the day he had been waiting for. He completed his pipeline. People from village rushed to him, water flowing through the pipeline into the storage tank. With a steady water supply, more people moved into the village and the town began to thrive. Pablo no longer had to carry buckets. Clean water flowed continuously into the tank. Even while he ate, slept, or played, and the more water flowed through the pipeline, the more money he made. People began calling him a miracle worker. Politicians admired his determination, his vision, and urged him to run for mayor. But Pablo knew this wasn't a miracle. To him, it was just the beginning, a foundation for his bigger dream. He was already planning to build pipelines in other villages, and one day create a network of pipelines around the world. This is just the beginning, he said. With a new pipeline bringing water so easily, Bruno lost his job. Now he had to worry about how to survive. Pablo saw him at the bar one day, begging people for free drinks, and his heart ached. "Bruno, I have something to ask you." Bruno, with his hunched back and tired face, snapped back bitterly. "What? You came to laugh at me? To brag about how you were right?" "No," Pablo replied seriously, looking straight into his old friend's eyes. "I came to share an incredible business opportunity with you. Just think about it. It took me 2 years to build the first pipeline. It was a painful, exhausting work. But I learned so much: what tools to use, where to dig, how to lay the pipes, Now I've developed a system that lets you build pipelines by yourself. But honestly, working alone for a whole year isn't ideal, time-wise or financially. So here's my plan. I will teach you and other villagers how to build pipelines. Then you can teach others. That way, not just our village, but other villages, even the whole world, can have pipelines. And every time water flows through a pipeline, we earn a portion per liter. The more water flows, the more we earn. We just need to keep installing pipelines. This pipeline I built is not the end of my dreams, it's only the beginning. Bruno, moved by the grand vision, smiled. He reached out his rough, calloused hand. They shook hands and embraced tightly, like long lost friends reunited, breaking old habits. Years passed. Pablo and Bruno retired, but their global pipeline network brought in millions of dollars every year. Their income only kept increasing. While traveling the world, they sometimes met young people still carrying water buckets. They would stop and say, "You don't have to do hard labor anymore. If you just build pipelines, you can enjoy more time and financial freedom. Let us help you." Some people were overjoyed and accepted their offer on the spot, but sadly, most people were stuck in old habits. They had never ever heard of pipelines or how to build one. "I don't have time for that. I know someone who tried and failed. Only the first people who start make money, right? I will just stick with what I have always done." I know someone who lost money falling for that pipeline scam. Pablo and Bruno were heartbroken. So many people couldn't see the future vision because of habit, prejudice, or misunderstanding. In a world where carrying buckets is seen as normal, dreaming of pipeline is no easy thing. Maybe that's why so few achieved that dream. But Pablo and Bruno are convinced more and more people will open their eyes to the benefits of pipelines and start to see the same future. A famous baseball player's story. Let's take a look at the life of a once famous baseball player. He had a talent and fame for many years, but after making some poor life choices, he got divorced and fell into heavy drinking and drug addiction. That alone is tragic. But worse, he also made terrible financial decisions. This player lived the spotlight life for 20 years. He earned between 2 million to 5 million per year just from playing baseball. He made an extra 2 million per year from endorsements, appearances, speaking events, and fan signings. By the time he was 40, he had earned somewhere between 50 million to 100 million dollars. Most people would think, wow, he must be set for life. But not for him. His name is Dolly Strawberry. Here's what a local newspaper once reported. Strawberry has no income, no savings, and nothing left to support his wife, Cherishi, and their 3 children. Yes, it's true. He earned nearly $100 million, but not a single penny remained. What happened? He spent it all. Luxury homes, expensive cars, rehab for drug and alcohol addiction. And every time he got into trouble, he hired top lawyers for hog sums. He spent money as fast as he earned it. When he was banned from playing, he had no income. All that was left were piles of bills, and those never missed a day. Margaret O'Donnell, a small town elementary school teacher, shows us that building a pipeline doesn't always mean carrying heavy buckets of water. She lived quietly as a teacher in the countryside for over 50 years. And even when she retired in the 70s, her annual salary was only $8,500. But when she passed away at the age of 100, she had donated over 2 million to more than 10 charities, including churches, schools, and Boy Scouts. How was that possible for someone who never ever made 10,000 a year? Did she have a secret? Margaret invested regularly. She carefully selected quality stock each month and left them to grow over a long period of time. She had clear rules and discipline for how she spent money, and she stuck to them. She saved and invested every single month, even after retirement. Starting in her early 20s, she built a long-term investment pipeline to secure her future. She continued investing all the way until she passed away at 100. As we've already seen, income from a pipeline grows more and more over time. Of course, when you first start building a pipeline, you won't see massive results right away. during the first few days or even the first few years. It might feel like your efforts aren't paying off. But if you are patient and keep working at it steadily, you will eventually see great rewards. Sometimes that means having self control and even making some sacrifices to avoid losing money the way most rich people don't. You have to invest regularly. And once you invest that money, you must never touch it. Just let it grow through the power of compounding. The best way to invest in your pipeline is consistently set aside a portion of your income every month. Don't waste your time. People who don't invest money into building their pipeline are like squirrels, just sitting on an acorn waiting. I call this the 50-year pipeline plan. This is the pipeline of compounding, patiently waiting for your money to grow year after year. The 50-year pipeline plan is guaranteed to succeed. Remember that Margaret O'Donnell became a millionaire through her investment pipeline. Just like her, I truly believe that if I build a consistent pipeline, the rewards will surely follow. Over the years, I've tried to build my own pipeline by investing part of my income into pensions, stocks, and real estate. In other words, I diversified my lifelines. Here's something important. A 5-year pipeline plan can shorten your timeline by 10 times compared to a 50-year plan. That's what I did. I shortened the time so I could use my time, money, and energy to build a few fast growing businesses. Instead of waiting 50 years to climb to the top of the tree, I chose businesses that could get me there in 2 to 5 years. Time is given equally to everyone. Everyone gets the same 24 hours in a day. Whether you are rich or poor, time doesn't discriminate. Money does. Don't you agree? Then let's think about this. What if your bank account receive $1,440 every morning? It's your money. No one tells you how to spend it. You could buy something, invest it, throw it into the street, burn it, or give it away. You could leverage it or waste it. It's entirely up to you. And the next day, you would still get another $1,440 no matter what. Wouldn't the world be a little more fair if everyone started the day with the same amount of money? It's a fun thought, but that's not how reality works. At least, not with money. But time is different. Every morning, everyone wakes up with a 1,440 minutes. One day has a 24 hours, and each hour has a 60 minutes, so that 1,440 minutes a day. Whether you are barely getting by or living comfortably, everyone gets the same amount of time. What makes all the difference is how you choose to use it, how to gain productive time. Think about what would happen if you spend just 2 hours every evening or weekend building your pipeline. If you spend 2 hours on weekends and 3 hours each on Saturday and Sunday, that's 16 hours a week. As you know, there are 50 weeks in a year. So using 16 hours a week gives you 800 hours a year. That's the same as working 100 full 8-hour work days. In other words, you'd gain the equivalent of 3 months and 10 days of productive work time each year just by setting aside 2 hours a day. That small effort creates a huge block of extra time annually. The greatest time leverage tool in history. Now building a pipeline is no longer something only rich people can do. With a little time and effort, anyone can build a pipeline that brings income for years, even decades, within just 2 to 5 years. In fact, we now have the greatest time leverage tool in human history right at our fingertips. This tool has created more millionaires in a short time than any other invention ever. I call it the I pipeline. Of course, most people know it by a different name. You see it all the time on TV, in the newspaper, everywhere. The name is the internet. Why is the internet such a powerful pipeline? Because today, millions of computers and mobile phones around the world are connected through it. The internet runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, transcending time and space. You can share your ideas or sell your products anytime, anywhere. And best of all, using it costs almost nothing. Isn't that amazing? The internet is as fast as the speed of light. The costs almost nothing to use, and it's accessible anytime, anywhere. The world is already connected through it. Today, nearly half the world's population, over 3 billion people, are active online. Any company that's not on the internet is a risk of disappearing. In fact, it's easier to find companies not using the internet than those that are. We are living in the middle of a massive internet revolution. How did one hand eat with the other? You need to build at least one long term pipeline, but it shouldn't be your only pipeline. Just like the saying, don't put all your eggs in one basket. It's risky to rely on just one plan. Let's say you have a 5-year pipeline plan. That plan doesn't just help you diversify your portfolio. It also allows you start living your dreams now. Now, just when you are in 60s or 70s. In other words, you can hold the rice cake in one hand and eat it with the other. Wouldn't you rather live with more time and financial freedom in the next 5 years? Not 50 years from now? Of course, you would. Who doesn't want a peaceful, relaxed life? That's why I encourage people to build both of a 50-year pipeline and a 5-year pipeline. Let me introduce you to a new kind of pipeline. With this concept of multiplications, you can build a strong income pipeline in just 2 to 5 years, not 50 years. Even better, you can start earning within just a few months. You can build this new pipeline as a side hustle, working in the evenings or on weekends, and grow it until it earns enough for you to go full time if you choose. Just imagine, while others are spending decades building their pipeline, you could reach the top of the oak tree in less than half the time. Best of all, you don't need a lot of money to start this 5-year pipeline. All you need is to leverage your time and relationships. Live in the present, but plan for the future. A few years ago, my father gave me some advice I will never forget. Live in the present, but plan for the future. And now I often share this wisdom with my own kids. By building both a 50-year and a 5-year pipeline, you can follow this wise advice. The 5-year plan, especially through the principle of multiplication, lets you start seeing results in just a few months. That means you can enjoy the present and build your future. I always encourage people to build both a long-term and a short-term pipeline. When my father told me to plan for the future while living in the present, he was really saying, pipelines are your lifeline. Don't be the person who just carries buckets of water. Be the one who builds a pipeline. That advice changed my life, and I'm still doing my best to follow it every day. That brings us to the end of today's reading from the book The Parable of Pipeline. If today's video was helpful, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Unlike others who just read the books without giving you direction, I share real options you can explore. And among the many pipeline options out there, I highly recommend checking out Atomy, where you can safely invest your time and grow a system-based income. Thanks again for watching today's video. I will see you next time with another great books. This has been Atomy Bro. Thank you.